Hello.
Then, now,
Countdown to the queens.
Episode number 500.
forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello, welcome to episode number, is it 186, 187? It's one of the two of the TEW IX Challenge Run. We seemingly, if all is good, have the channel back. I don't know what that was about yesterday. Weird video went up. Sorry about that. But yeah, we have the channel back now. Good Booker has control of TEW once more, and yeah, it's ECW, so, you know, how good can the booking really be if I'm booking the C show? Yeah. But yes, we're going to continue the road to King of the Ring and Evolution tonight. It is the go-home show as the King of Extreme tournament continues. The three matches tonight are Sheamus versus... No, sorry, not Sheamus versus. It's Joe Hendry versus Austin Theory. Then Sheamus versus Moose. Then Kylan Rodgers versus Pistolero. We also have Florence against Shotzi Blackheart. Solo Sokoba's in the house to address Aleister Black. And Kevin Owens is in the house because he wants to find out who he's wrestling at King of the Ring. So without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. The show kicks off, and Solo Sokoba storms to the ring. You know, he's in like a hoodie and like street clothes. He gets into the ring. He's not a masked man, you know. We booked our masked men yesterday. And he comes out, and he grabs the microphone and he goes, Aleister Black, huh? You want to invoke my family's name, huh? You want to invoke my family history? Well, last time I checked, I ain't scared of nothing, especially not you sitting in the back with the lights off, cutting spooky promos to these people. Because I'm ready for career. But I ain't worried about waiting that long. I'm ready to fight whenever and wherever. I'm ready to fight right here, right now, tonight. Big pop. Solo, he throws the mic down. And, you know, he waits for a fight, and out comes Kelsey Cook. She goes, Solo, Solo, Solo. Always so aggressive, always so reckless. You see, Aleister Black will see you in that street fight this Saturday in Seoul. But Solo, the reason why we invoke your family name is because we want to see you without the family name. You talk all about all this time of you being the street champion, you fighting for yourself, and how you didn't rely on your family, and that maybe used to be true. But now look at you, Solo. You're lost without yourself. You're lost without Jacob. You need Jacob. You need your family. They let a little lost puppy back into the kennel. And now he can't live without being spoiled every single day of his life. And he's got a tough challenge ahead of himself when he's got to go into a street fight against the most dangerous man on ECW. And quite frankly, Solo, you don't look like you've got it in you to get the job done. So I ain't got it in me to get the job done, huh? And that's coming from Aleister Black, huh? He goes, well, I was content to come out here and stop talking and let my fists do the talking, but it seems Aleister is too scared, sitting in the shadows, getting shown up by me. So, if you're out here and you're Aleister's little messenger girl here tonight, allow me to send a message to Aleister. Because quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing you talk. So if I have my way, you ain't ever gonna talk again. He grabs a hold of Kelsey, and like he goes like he's got her in position to hit the spike on Kelsey. And the crowd's going crazy. They go, yes, you know, spike her. You know, she starts to look concerned. Solo looks down at her like angrily, angry-eyed. And then eventually he does just let her go and like doesn't hit the spike. Crowd boos. And Kelsey just smiles and turns around listening to the crowd boo. And she goes, figured you didn't have the balls. So I've got nothing new to tell Aleister, because you are exactly what he said you were. A joke. And that's when Solo does snap. He then does grab Kelsey. He does nail the Samoan spike then. You know, she drops to the floor. Big pop. He goes, "Oh, how's that for a message, huh? How's that for a coward? You tell Alistair that's coming to him Saturday night." Solo storms out. So yeah, Solo, you know, got called a chicken one too many times. And I guess Kelsey now can't speak for a while because she did have that big Samoan thumb drummed into her throat. But Solo Sikoa, you know, he has, you know, he did grow up, you know, we have done the street champion thing where he grew up on the streets, but he recently has become a little bit complacent, you know. When he was getting attacked every week as part of Jacob's stuff, and he just became Jacob Fatu's lackey, and we need to sort of get Solo out of that, because my Solo himself is, like, a more complex character, so I kind of want to give him a bit of that back, that spark, and, you know, I guess his family is still his big red button, but one thing that is a bigger red button is calling him pussy, and Kelsey learned that the hard way tonight. But, you know, beating up women, you know, we cheer for that on ECW. You know, when they're bitches, when bitches be crazy, you know, they deserve it. And then come backstage, Otis is with Kelly Kincaid. Kelly goes, "Otis, last week you shocked the world, you know, the reigning ECW hardcore champion Kevin Owens. You faced him in a match in that King of Extreme tournament, and you won. You beat Kevin Owens in seconds to advance to the next round, where you will now have a match against Finn Balor, of all people. So tell me, Otis, what is the game plan heading into the next match?" And he goes, "Kelly, I'm not. I may look dumb and stupid, but I'm not. I can see what's happening here. I can only get lucky one time. Now, while I am better than Kevin Owens, and I could kick Kevin Owens' ass any day, last week I got lucky that Kevin was running his mouth to these people. Finn Balor, that's a whole other story. Finn Balor, that's a tough competitor. That's a guy that I'm not going to be able to sneak out a quick victory or wrong. I have to bring my very best. But I'm blue collar solid. I am these people's hero on ECW. I'm doing this for the working man, not a weird guy who walks around here talking to himself with weird paint on. I need to become ECW champion, Kelly. And Finn Balor next week is the next man in my way." And then Finn does walk in. And he goes, "Weird guy. Talking to himself in face paint. Otis, is that really what you think of me?" I mean, I tell you what I think of you, but I'm sure it's things you've already heard before. But here's the thing. I can take any criticisms, any insults you want to throw at me. But I'll warn you, big man. No matter how lucky you get against Kevin, I wouldn't play with fire and provoke the demon. Because the demon, he holds grudges. And if you want to poke him, I've got no problem bringing him back out. And he walks off. So yeah, Finn Balor threatening to bring the demon out against Check's Notes. Otis in a tournament match. You know, this Finn doesn't fuck around. You know, if he wants the demon, he's gonna bring you the demon, regardless of who the fuck you are. But you know, as it stands, it is Finn Balor the man against Otis next week. All of the quarterfinal matches are happening next week, by the way. And then the week after that will either be the 2 semi-finals, and the week after that, which will be the go home to SummerSlam, will be the final. Or I'll just do that on the same week as the semis, then do an actual segment, you know, to build the match at the final. But I will probably do 2 semis and a final on the same week, so I can actually have a week then to do the... Because I know what the match is, obviously, for SummerSlam. So I think I could just do a 1 week build to the match, because it pretty much sells itself. So yeah. 79? Jesus Christ, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry and Austin Theory technically wrapping up that angle, because they hadn't fought in a long time. You know, Theory in the cradle of the silver spoon and all that. It's over. Joe Hendry advances in the King of Extreme tournament. With a standing ovation in 13-14. 74 for Austin Theory, 68 for Joe Hendry. So yeah, I guess Theory did technically outscore him, but I like Joe Hendry more, so I'm going to praise him. But that does mean this might be, there's been a lot of weird matches that I can't envision in my head that I've booked a lot in this save, but this one is definitely up there. Joe Hendry is now set for a collision course next week in the King of Extreme tournament with Brody King. That's going to be interesting. I definitely can't imagine how that would go IRL. They feel like two completely different wrestlers. But, yeah, Brody King against Joe Hendry next week on ECW. We then see Aoi Maikawa chilling backstage with her friend Natsuki Sugita from NXT Japan. And that's when Zoe Stark, of course, walks in and she goes, "Girls, I'm glad to see the locker room is already changing up. Last week, myself and my Page sisters, we disposed that disgusting tag team known as the Temptation. And it's nice to see already, Aoi, you're a competitor that I admire a lot, and you're bringing world-class, credible talent to my locker room." And then she offers her hand and goes, "Hi, Zoe Stark, if you ever want guidance here in this division, you know who to speak to." And then Aoi goes, "I just brought her here as a friend, but we don't mind having a match tonight." And then Zoe goes, "Great, it'll be you two against the Page sisters. We'll beat it into you the hard way." So yeah, Natsuki and Aoi against Zoe Stark and, no, not Zoe Stark, and just the Page sisters later on tonight. We then get this segment. Shotzi is not here. She's out. Well, she's here, obviously, but she's ready to go out for her match with Florence coming up next. So we just get Hams and Tatum backstage. And, Tatum has her little dollhouse. She's got the dolls that look like herself, Hams and Shotzi, just sat in there. She goes, "Look at us all at home. You used to carry around a stuffed pig with yourself, and now it's good to know that we can carry around these physical representations of each other, so we never forget each other and everything that we've been to. Sunday night, we have the chance to prove to the world what unites us, and that's being forgotten, tossed aside, outcasts. Rhea and Florence and Stephanie, they're in it for each other. They're not in it as a team. They want their own individual game because they all want to be ECW Women's Champion. And that's what's going to be their undoing. They're going to eat each other alive. And we're going to prove that loyalty runs deep." Now, Shotzi's going to go out there, so, we may as well stay back here and solidify our friendship and talk about K-Pop Demon Hunters Presents Evolution. And then Tatum goes to walk away, and Hams approaches the dollhouse backstage. She sort of lets out a scared scream, and Tatum sort of stops, goes wide-eyed and turns back around. She's like, what is it? And Hams sort of just worried, hides behind Tatum, starts pointing at the dollhouse. She goes, what about it? And she stops and she slowly walks up, and she picks something up from inside the dollhouse, and she sort of looks down at it, her face is starting to go pale. She looks down at what it is, and it's a rambling rabbit just chilling. And the camera looks down, pans down to the rambling rabbit and Tatum's hand. She pans back up to her face. She looks around confused because where the fuck did this come from, and what's it doing in my dollhouse? '88. Let's fucking go. Shotzi and Florence, of course. We know how this ends. Florence does pick up the win with the rain flow in 11 minutes and 4. 89 for Florence, 82 for Shotzi. That's a really good match. I didn't expect that, but yeah, we'll take it. So yeah, the momentum is with the ECW Avengers, I guess, heading into Evolution. Then cut to the ECW Tag Team Champions backstage. The Labyrinth. There with Kelly. And Kelly Kincaid goes, "Hey gentlemen, my guests at this time, Nathan Kelly, Drake Chambers, The Labyrinth, the ECW World Tag Team Champions." Now, it's been a week since you were last here, and, the tag team division on ECW keeps heating up, and they go, "I'm going to stop you there, Kelly. Last week, we were confronted by some individuals who seem to have what we want, what we have. Our treasures, our holy grail we worked so hard to win, is now under threat by a phony messiah. A guy who, in his own eyes, thinks he's saving everything and he's the greatest leader to follow here in WWE. Moose, he's already fighting him over a necklace, okay? Sheamus had a necklace and Moose didn't like that, so what makes him think he can just come and snatch our tag team championships with his little apostle? Bring anybody you can, Moose. How many Messiah followers have you got out there? Don't know if it's just Apollo, if it's everybody else out there, it doesn't matter. These champions belong to us. They're not owed to be in your possession because you ain't a real Messiah. You're a phony, fake god. And if you want to try and get these championships from us, we'll happily slay the Messiah. Mount his head on our wall like a trophy as a new holy grail. We then cut to the ring. And, we get shots of the crowd. We're going over the running down advertising the pay-per-views this Sunday. Then we hear the microphone gets stolen. And he starts tapping on, goes, "Hey, is this thing on?" Cuts to Kevin Owens. He goes, No. This show does not continue on until I say so. Look at how happy you all are here tonight to see me, your people's champion, Kevin Owens. Now, last week was a miscarriage of justice. Okay, last week I was not ready for Otis's big fat ass to pick me up and slam me down. You know how much weight that guy has? He can put into his moves. You're lucky I'm still breathing. You're lucky I don't have broken ribs after that. But I'm glad you guys all found it so funny. Well, what I also didn't find funny is I thought that was going to be the end of me going to go see my people in Korea and Seoul, these people who have been waiting years to see Kevin Owens on pay-per-view. But then Ava, she goes, no, Kevin Owens, that's not going to happen because we're going to have you defend your championship in Seoul in front of your people. Great. That's awesome. The people of Seoul get to see their champion. But then Ava decided she wasn't going to tell me who I was wrestling in Seoul. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not happy going into Korea, flying halfway across the world to face a guy that I don't even know. So if anybody back there has any idea who it could be, maybe if the guy himself is back there, who knows? Come out here and let the people's champion and the people know what's in store this Sunday or Saturday at King of the Ring. Then a man's voice appears or starts talking over the microphone. And he goes, whoa, Kevin, relax. Out walks this guy. He goes, Kevin, you know who I am, but for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Chris Parks. And I've been working behind the scenes of ECW for quite a while now. And I'm coming out here tonight for two reasons. One is to announce that a change is coming to management here in WWE. You see, Ava, when she took over as the ECW general manager, she put all of her eggs in, creating the best possible women's division she can for this brand. And she's done a hell of a job doing that. And Ava, going forward, will officially be the women's general manager of ECW. But as for the men, you've got to go through myself. And Kevin goes, Chris, nice to see you out here, buddy. And you're like, I sort of forgot you were out there. But, come on, okay, yeah, new manager, okay? So you're the guy in charge now. You're the guy I've got to go speak to, okay? So, come on. King of the Ring, who is it? And Chris Park goes, Kevin. It's funny that you should say that. Because, you call yourself the people's champion around these parts. Kevin, you quite frankly, there's a lot of people back there in the locker room who want to get their hands on you. First of all, you disrespected a hardcore icon, the late Sabu, when you won that tournament back at Heatwave. He goes, yeah, because I'm better than he is. Because when you call yourself ECW's People's Champion, yet you desecrate the grave of one of the men who paved the way to make ECW what it is. And there are other people from ECW who agree with that sentiment, Kevin. A lot of them who want to get their hands on you. And one of them will be in Seoul for King of the Ring. So, Kevin Owens, do you have what it takes? You're still the television champion in your own worlds, right? He goes, yeah, not in my own worlds. I never lost this title. And Chris Pastor goes, that's funny, because I know another guy who is synonymous with that championship. And he loved to take both that and that hardcore championship and avenge the legacy of ECW and the heart and soul of what those titles stand for. So Kevin Owens and King of the Ring, prepare for Extreme Rules against the WWE Hall of Famer, Rob Van Dam. Big pop. RVD chants. Because Rob, okay. So you brought Rob back. Or you didn't, but this company brought Rob back 2 years ago to relaunch this thing. And he sits away. He sits at home for a while, doing what he does. Injecting all sorts of chemicals into his system. Maybe he smoked a little bit too much and he thinks he can come out and step to Kevin Owens. Okay? Now, Chris, I respect the hell out of you. And, if this is because of me accidentally putting my hands on it, I apologize to her for that. But I don't know if that's why we've now got to deal with a male and a men's and a women's general manager on these shows. But Chris, you're going to have to learn to pay hard way with me around here. I'll beat your little Hall of Famer, King of the Ring. But I run this place now. I'm the King of Extreme. And then Chris Parks puts his arm out in front of Kevin Owens as he goes to leave. And he goes, no, Kevin. You listen to me. Because you know what I can do if I get angry. And I don't want to have to get angry, Kevin. Are we clear? Kevin just chuckles and goes, yes, we're clear. I'm sure this is the start of a wonderful, beautiful friendship. So a lot to unpack here. Rob Van Dam, he's still around. He's been around for a while, because I tried to let his contract expire, then AI Triple H stepped in and extended it, so he's still here. Technically, he's part of the ECW roster, just super part-time. And, he's stepping in to challenge Kevin Owens for the Hardcore Championship at King of the Ring. Because Kevin Owens did, disrespect Sabu. And when he won the Sabu Cup. And I guess that's the legacy of Sabu. By being a entitled little bitch. And Chris Parks is here. He's now in charge of the men on ECW. We're going forward, we're going to have a separate leader for the men and women's divisions on each brand. Nick Aldis will probably just be moved to be the women's GM on SmackDown. And then obviously Chris Parks for the men on ECW and Ava for the women. And then on Raw, we obviously have Bobby Roode, but we don't know who will be in charge of the women's division on Raw just yet. And it's so funny because, there's that joke when it was Aldis and Adam Pearce. It was all the NWA champions are running. But Chris Parks also, of course, a former NWA world champion who is now a GM here. But yes, there's also a thinly veiled threat from Chris Park about referencing things. I don't know if that will ever go anywhere. I just like the concept of, him threatening to bring Abyss out and beating up people that piss him off. But obviously, I think he's retired in the game, so I don't know if we're ever actually going to see him. But it's just a funny, continuity little thing to reference for those who get it. We go from that to Naomi backstage. And she bumps into Nene again. She goes, "Hey, girl. How you at?" And she goes, "What is it, Naomi?" She goes, "We did such a great job. We've sort of created a friendship, you and I'd say." Nene goes, "No, it's just business. What do you want?" And she goes, "Fine. Well, we've created good business partnerships." And Nene goes, "Not particularly. You've paid me and I've taken people out." And he goes, "Can you just listen to me?" She goes, "I know deep down inside you're playing this stoic, but that you were relieved to take out Kathy and the rest of Next Gen. And if something were to say happen to Kathy and Shantae again ahead of Evolution, it'd be pretty great." And Nene goes, "No thanks. Your down payment on that last offer, I wasn't feeling it. I've got other things I need to do, other offers to listen to. When it comes to Evolution, you're on your own." And she walks off. And then he goes, "Oh, you fucking bitch. What happened to this hitman and hired gun, okay? Turning down your second goddamn offer." Yeah, Nene rejecting helping Naomi here tonight for Evolution. And she is against both Shantae and Kathy this Sunday in Korea in a triple threat match. 82, Sheamus and Apollo will take that. That's better than I thought it would be. Sheamus does advance. He beats Apollo with a bro kick in 12:46. 70 for Sheamus, 75 for Apollo Crews. And yeah, Sheamus advances where he will face the winner of Pistolero versus Kylan Rodgers later on tonight in our main event. After the match, the Messiah, he comes to the ring, and him and the Apostle Apollo Crews get the jump on Sheamus. Cesaro runs out, he makes the save and chases off Moose and Apollo Crews. And yeah, the Bar stand tall here tonight. Then see Baron Corbin approaching Dijak backstage. And he goes, "You see that just out there now? Sheamus and Cesaro seemingly back together. And you got Cesaro next week in this tournament. Now, you beat my ass in that tournament, but I respect the hell out of you for that. So if you need anyone out there to help you fight, because Cesaro might have Sheamus out there, I'm going to be your guy." And Dijak goes, "I'd love to try and go it myself, Corbin. But if I need you, I know where to find you." So yeah, Dijak and Corbin offering that olive branch out. Sheamus and Cesaro could be together. Sheamus might ask, but Cesaro does have his own match to take part in. So, Sheamus has his own match to take part in. So yeah, who knows? But Corbin and Dijak still allied here. 82 for this tag match. Aoi just really had nothing really to do at the minute, so I don't even know if Natsuki will be here all the time. It's just I've sort of established her as Aoi's friend. So yeah, they beat the Page Sisters. Aoi Maikawa beats Kylie Page with the Crash Rabbit Heat in 12:23. 59 for both the Page Sisters, 75 for Natsuki, 91 for Aoi. Yeah, ECW starting to form its own little tag division. There is a reason for that will become clear soon, but yeah. Aleister Black promo. He's, back in there and he's, he claps his hands. And he goes, "Congratulations, Solo. Look at you. Putting your hands on Kelsey. Why? Because of what things I said. You're literally shooting the messenger, Solo. And I wish I could be angry at you. I wish I had it in me to defend Kelsey. But she was a sacrifice. You see, I like that, Solo. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting Solo Sikoa, the Street Champion. Solo Sikoa, not Jacob Fatu's right-hand man, right Jacob Fatu's baby cousin. We're getting Solo Sikoa, the problem, they used to call him. Korea's just days away, Solo. A place that has, in the past, showed a lot of hatred towards you, a lot of animosity towards you, and you're going to walk in there a hero in just days from now. But the man that you walk in as and the man you will need to be leaving as to take this championship are two completely different men, Solo. And tonight was the first glimpse of a man that I could potentially see as a threat. If you don't bring that man to Korea, Solo, you ain't taking this championship, and you will forever be what we all know you are. And that's just a baby brother of the bloodline. The youngest of the family, the runt of the litter. Ball's in your court, Solo. Who do you want to be? Next week, as I've just said, we are going to get through 4 of the next round of the King of Extreme tournament matches, because we are officially on the road to SummerSlam starting next week. And those matches are going to be Cesaro taking on Dijak in quarterfinal action of the King of Extreme tournament. And they had a little run-in earlier on tonight. Otis was threatened by the Demon, but the Demon isn't going to be here, you know. It's going to just be Finn Balor, the man, taking on Otis next week in the King of Extreme tournament. Plus, Joe Hendry versus Brody King, the match I went over earlier on tonight. Like, yeah, look at this. What the fuck is this? Yeah, next week that goes down. And we also going to know Sheamus will be in a match next week. It will either be against Kylan Rodgers or it will be against Pistolero, whoever wins our main event coming up next. And those will be the final 8 participants in the King of Extreme tournament as the road to SummerSlam draws in. And we find out who will wrestle for the ECW Championship on that show, either held by Aleister Black or Solo Sikoa, depending who leaves Korea as the champion. And speaking of Korea, we do have one more championship match from the ECW brand. New, I guess, men's overlord of ECW, Chris Parks, has made official Kevin Owens and Rob Van Dam, the WWE Hall of Famer, looking to avenge the legacy of the late Sabu in Korea at King of the Ring. A non-rated main event. Kylan was injured, so it got even lower than it should have got, but I'll take that definitely if Kylan's got a fractured arm. But he does advance. He puts Pistolero down with the Brainbuster in 1736. So it will be Kylan Rodgers against Sheamus next week. The Proto Star and the Celtic Warrior. That's going to be a fucking heater. 70 for Kylan Rodgers, 92 for Pistolero. A3 raid show. We take that. ECW chugging along nicely towards its events. With ECW, I feel like we announced a lot of the stuff early. So, we've had to just sort of chug along for the next 2 weeks. Plus, we've got pay-per-views to get into the way before we start building to SummerSlam, which is a wall I hit for all the shows, but this one mainly, specifically. So, it's the second biggest show of the year is 3 weeks away from next week. So, yeah, things will start heating up over here soon. And what matters more, that's what you thought of the show. Do leave a in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for SmackDown and their go-home show. See you then.